Hi there, and a very good evening to all of you joining us right now. It's the dugout time, as you know. It's what that Asia Cup conclusion has meant is that it's given us time to come back to the dugout, and we will, as always, every evening be talking to you about what's happening in Indian cricket right now. And there's only one question on everyone's mind: when is it that the imaginary trophy comes to India?
To quote Hardik Pandya,
That's well done, Shane.
I have no idea because, quite frankly, it is amazing. I mean, we talk about firsts in the world of sport or in the world of anything. Pakistan have made a new first here,
Yes.
whereby a team that has won the trophy which they were competing for has not been handed over the trophy. And before any one of you comes to me with but the Indian team players didn't want to collect it from NAQV, yes, that's their prerogative. If they chose not to attend the ceremony in some form of protest, that is their prerogative. What is not the prerogative of anyone is to then say, no, we're going to keep the trophy with us.
What that does is, in fact, we're going to be sharing a lot of updates with you guys. Something that we've already done just 10 minutes back. We were live with latest updates coming from the very place which hosted the final, which is Dubai. There were the full member nations that were present. There were the associate members as well that were present. A full blown meeting took place. As you know, we had already told you there is a meeting to take place on Tuesday. That meeting happened, but what was not on the agenda and happened or came as a result of what happened on Sunday, then was added to the agenda, was the whole trophy row, and we'll be giving you updates on that because Rajiv Shukla was there and at the meeting, and he had an earful to give to Mohsin Naqvi. Fresh updates that we have for you, and what we will also tell you at the moment is that there will be another meeting that will take place of the full member nations, but more on that in just a bit. I do want to take a question with Shane before we get to all these updates, since he mentioned about the trophy being taken away by the ACC president. Of course, that is something that is well known now, but at best, Shane, that to me occurs like a schoolboy tantrum to throw, or that gully cricket tantrum that I must admit I also threw the time that the ball and the bat belonged to me. If I felt that I was unfairly given out, I would take the bat home, I would hurl a couple of abuses, sulk, but take the bat home and not come back for a day or two. Does this episode not remind you of the same?
Exactly. It's literally like the old proverbial saying, take your ball and go home.
Yeah.
That's what they've done. They've taken the trophy and gone home. And I mean, I understand, okay, yeah, there's a political element to it. But if you're talking purely sports, they've won the trophy. The very least you could have done was, I don't know, give it to them, behind closed doors. And because, see, there's multiple reports about this floating around. Another report which has been doing the rounds, and this was prior to this meeting, by the way, which I should point out, is that apparently Naqvi said, listen, I'll give the trophy to the players. There just needs to be some sort of a formal function organized. I'm like, I don't know whether this is delusion or stupidity, maybe a healthy combination of both, but there was literally a function organized to give the medals and the trophies, which the players then boycotted because you were there.
And the idea of that was, or whatever happened on Sunday was a result of your presence. And how could you be again? It's quite dystopian, I must say, Shane. This is like, one saying that, okay, I'm going to be doing a show, but I will not do it till the time that this wallpaper is there, or till the time that the background's not changed. How can I go ahead and demand exactly the same thing which wasn't fulfilled the first time?
Exactly. I don't understand. And quite frankly, as I say, it's very surprising that no one saw this coming, or that Naqvi did see this coming and then chose to double down, because a lot of reports are suggesting that he's stood by this commitment, that he, as the ACC chief or ACC president, is the only one with that sort of power to give away the trophy, which quite frankly makes no sense to me. I understand that, usually it's always the governing body's most powerful member who will give it away. But it's not as if we haven't seen, something of that sort of nature change in the past. It has changed during times of emergencies, and this was very much a time that was unique.
What Naqvi also needs to realize is, while yes, he's wearing many hats, and at that moment he was the ACC president. However, given what has happened over the course of the last few months, one cannot help but ignore the fact that he's the Interior Minister of Pakistan.
Exactly.
The close cahoots and the close association that the Pakistan government and the ISI have and the other agencies have, including some terrorist organizations, which I have no qualms in saying, is known not just to Indians, is known to the whole wide world. And Mohsin Naqvi, that is exactly the problem that India have with you. That is exactly the problem that Indian players had with you collecting the trophy. You passing public statements while the tournament was on, your misdemeanors were all the reasons why India wanted to distance itself from a man who could not himself understand his professional obligation first. What was he going around doing on X, formerly Twitter, with that Ronaldo jibe that he tried to take? Again, uncalled for. So Mohsin Naqvi, if you're looking for questions, if you're looking for there to be some sort of clarity be given to you and your questions be answered, I'm sorry, you're being delusional by not seeing the obvious truth.
Correct. And see, the other funny part is you're talking about what he was doing on X. Even after the final, he actually quote-tweeted PM Modi's tweet and, was talking about separating sports and politics. And I'm like, really? You want to bang on that tree now? How is it that you can possibly be doing it after everything that you have been doing thereafter? Yeah. There has been literally nothing but try and politicize the entire thing. According to media reports, you told your own players that, listen, you go out there and do whatever you please. I will take care of you, which is like, I mean, it's the, sporting equivalent of tera bhai dekh lega.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how is it that you can possibly be talking about separating the two when they are intrinsically linked?
That's exactly what instigation is, right?
Yeah.
If you're being the instigator, as you have been on the borders, as well as the world knows, then clearly this is what will happen to you. This is exactly what will happen to you.
Correct.
But anyhow, since the question at the moment is about what happened at the meeting, Shane, what is it that we can tell our family members?
There's a lot of details, by the way. For those of you who missed the video we did prior to this, let's quickly go over. And even for that matter, for those of you who did there, I think it's very important that we go over all the developments because, geez, there was a lot of them. Now, the two major things to talk about, one is that, who was it that the members who was representing the BCCI? One of them was Rajiv Shukla, and the other was Ashish Shelar. These were the two members who represented India in this particular meeting. And there are a few interesting things, by the way, and I'm reading it off my phone just so I remember and mention it clearly. One is that Naqvi actually refused to congratulate India for becoming the current Asia Cup champions, or rather retaining their trophy, whichever way it is you want to look at it. It actually required intervention, consistent intervention from Ashish Shelar for Naqvi to finally congratulate them. And it was a very forced congratulations, which in itself tells you, it sets the tone for the meeting. Naqvi then went on to congratulate Nepal and Mongolia for being inducted into the ACC, but didn't have a word to say for, what in India winning the trophy. And it then resulted in a very heated debate, which led to the BCCI on multiple occasions to make the demand that, listen, you have to give us the trophy, we will get it collected from the ACC office. That is the demand that they put forward. Naqvi said, let us discuss this, to which the BCCI then said that there's no discussion needed. It is our trophy. And by the way, Naqvi still hasn't agreed. Why? Because he said that this is something that doesn't need to be discussed here. And in fact, let me tell you something else, guys. One of the other reasons that this meeting was called was that there were other items on the agenda as well. The trophy wasn't the only thing. There were a couple of other items that were there on the to-do list that included election of an ACC vice president and finalization of the schedule for other ACC events. Don't forget, the ACC does hold tournaments like an under-19 ACC Asia Cup. There's an emerging players Asia Cup. Nothing was finalized. Those other two topics on the agenda weren't even touched because this ended up taking up so much time and got so heated that the meeting just had to be called off. So basically what you do have is one very big and almost useless debate on the entire matter. But the main standoff remains. The trophy which India rightfully won is not with India. Wow, amazing.
And just to add to that, India were very insistent. India were very insistent on that trophy. That is rightly now India's. And Mohsin Naqvi was also told that this is not personal property that you may think that you can take back home and all, that we will be coming to the ACC office and collecting that trophy, and we better find it there. Again, that communication to Mohsin Naqvi has already happened, and in fact what he was also told during the course of the meeting as the temperatures raised when these arguments were made was the fact that Mohsin Naqvi went ahead and said that let's try and do this meeting at some other point, because the pressure on him was increasing from India. He's not returned the trophy yet, but he was also once again reminded that we will be taking this matter with the ICC. Remember, 2 days back, Devajit Saikia, after India won the Asia Cup, also in very clear terms had said that there is going to be a serious protest against the move made by the ACC chief, and there'll be a strong response from India. So India are not looking at relenting from this from this whole campaign to get the trophy back. And if you ask me, I don't see this being too far away as an eventuality of the trophy coming back, because there's only so much time that you can go around throwing this tantrum and being as petulant as you have been over the last couple of weeks. And this is just schoolboy behavior, if you ask me, from Mohsin Naqvi taking the trophy back home. It doesn't, and more than just schoolboy behavior, this is also just a politician trying to satisfy his ego. I think if it was just truly a cricket administrator out there, perhaps he would have understood the dynamics of the situation and handed over the trophy. But because this is Mohsin Naqvi, the politician as well, standing on the dais, he refused to budge, because politician ego, we know about that all too well.
I mean, look, and the thing with him is you have to understand that Naqvi is a man of many hats. And he holds very important distinction in the Pakistani government. I respect and understand that. What he also then needs to understand or wrap his head around is that when the Indian players are protesting taking the trophy from him, it's not that they have a problem taking the trophy from the ACC president. They have a problem accepting the trophy from the Pakistani interior minister. It is you'd say it's a distinction, but it's a distinction without any difference. Naqvi is both. So you have to understand that in the kind of political climate we're in, it's just not good optics. And we have to remember that one of the reasons that this Asia Cup has seen so much of this is because, there is an understanding that the optics in this scenario are very important. Don't forget, prior to the Asia Cup even starting, there was a lot of talk about boycott the match, boycott the match, boycott the match. Suryakumar Yadav was trolled for shaking hands with Mohsin Naqvi in the pre-tournament press conference. He was trolled for shaking hands with Salman Ali Agha, the Pakistan skipper. All of these things then eventually led to the Indian team basically adopting it's a muted boycott of sorts. There was no boycott. They were playing the matches, but there was no acknowledgement or no friendliness, no camaraderie, no bonhomie, no nothing. It was all just kept to the sporting side of things. And that could have very easily been done if they decided, okay, you know what? Yeah, these guys don't want to take the trophy from me. Fine, we'll just give it to them behind closed doors. Yeah. You didn't take that easy, obvious route. And it's now led to a situation whereby it's basically been left to the five full member nations of the ACC in India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh to potentially actually try and resolve an issue. And how exactly are they going to resolve it? Are you going to have a separate thing? Or is there going to be like some sort of a hybrid trophy ceremony? Or what exactly is going to happen? There is no solution here that will involve Mohsin Naqvi. Because quite frankly, that is the bone of contention for the Indian players and the Indian team. It's that simple.
What I do think going forward is again now, as Shane tells you, that there is going to be this meeting of the 5 ACC full member nations that is going to be happening soon. And what I do sort of guess, my guesstimate coming out of that meeting will obviously be that, see, the trophy has to go back to India, and I doubt, Chain, if there's going to be any loud celebration per se or an official ceremony. It's not going to happen. Also, the Indian team is going to be scattered now. I see that trophy coming to India. There's only, so much time that you can keep the trophy away from the BCCI headquarters. It has to be reaching over there very soon. You perhaps could just ask whosoever is available at that time. As you understand, Suryakumar Yadav is not going to be busy over the next couple of weeks. And in case there is a resolution to the trophy over that time, whosoever is available, including the captain, I think you might just see a couple of photographs come out. But I don't see this lasting an eternity of sorts per se, or this standoff going for a long time, because it's just childish at best. There is nothing more to it, and it's a low in many ways. For how long will the ICC, because again you're talking about cricket over here, and you don't want cricket to be looked at as a sport where such tantrums can be thrown, where cricket administrators are such that they can take the trophy, the silverware and the medallions back home. You don't want that kind of messaging to happen. It's already happened in a way, but the longer you let this go, it's bad publicity for the sport and bad repute for the ICC. Because I'll tell you why. Because people who don't follow cricket that much are, for them, there's, so for football there is FIFA, right? You don't always question other bodies. Everything happening in football, you look at FIFA, and people are not going to understand this distinction between the ACC and the ICC. Somebody sitting in Italy, and we know Italy is also picking up on cricket, they are not going to be understanding this difference between ICC, ACC. For them, it's ICC, that's the karta dharta of cricket.
Correct.
And if such news reaches Europe, such news reaches to frontiers that you want to take the sport to, be it the USA for that matter, is this poor marketing for the sport?
It's absolutely poor marketing, because it is basically reaching a point whereby you are already alienating, potentially new fan bases. And I need to add that it comes at a time when, truth be told, I don't really have a very optimistic outlook, sorry to say, on the future of cricket as a whole. I worry about how it looks, because again, if you've been watching the Asia Cup, you'd realize that the competition, I mean, at one point, if you look at an Asia Cup, if you look at, say, even 4 or 3 of the teams here, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka were 3 of the top nations at some point or the other in world cricket. Now Pakistan and Sri Lanka are so far left behind that it's not even funny.
Waned.
Yeah, Afghanistan are a rising nation, but we know they face problems of their own. Bangladesh has been a sleeping giant for so long, there should be worry about why it's sleeping that long. And other than that, you've only got, which other nations who really seriously, you've got South Africa, you've got New Zealand, of course, you've got the sports inventors, England. But that's pretty much the extent of it. The sport is just not growing other places. In New Zealand, it is always going to be a comfortable second popular sport to rugby. Other than that, you've really got nothing. There's nothing going for it. And, the financial disparity between the BCCI and some of the other boards of the world will sooner or later make it reach a point whereby the sport becomes very India-centric. It already, I dare say, is. That is why you have an India-Pakistan match in every single ACC or ICC tournament. But then you should worry. The optics need to be better. I mean, see, I again go back to the 2023 Asia Cup. There were standoffs taking place prior to that tournament as well, because the hosts were originally Pakistan. But what did India do? They very clearly came up with a very good resolution, pushed it through. They were firm. They said that no, we were not going to be coming to Pakistan to play. Simple as that. So majority of the matches were held in Sri Lanka. Pakistan played most of their matches at home, and there was, I think, 1 or 2 other matches that were held there as well. But you came up with a solution beforehand, and you stuck to that solution. This time around, I mean, we all knew that there was no way they were going to accept the trophy from Naqvi. So why is it that you then didn't choose to then come up with some sort of a compromise? And I do blame the Pakistan side for this, because they knew what was going on. Instead of trying to reach some sort of a compromise, they then decided to politicize it. But I mean, it's another point altogether, but it does tell you the difference about how it is the PCB was done in 23 vis-a-vis now. In 2023, you have to remember it was Najam Sethi who was the head of the PCB, and he had a little bit of a more conciliatory approach, or some sort of a this thing where you try and coordinate and come up with a middle ground that wouldn't make Pakistan cricket look foolish. Unfortunately, this current situation, the current dispensation, has not only taken pride in making them look foolish, but seem to be using it as their plan of action, that we'll get any publicity, and any publicity is good publicity, because your cricket team are terrible, and now at this point you are getting more and more popular for your antics. Maybe put an end to that.
I think whatever's happened, especially that UAE match, the whole drama, I think the PCB is the Pakistan cricket in many ways, I think, with that one incident, has beset itself furthermore.
Yeah.
It's pushed itself back into a dark phase, I would say, because yes, you won that match, but what was your prime demand? You wanted to get Andy Pycroft removed. But guess what? Andy Pycroft did not move an inch. The ICC rejected all your demands. There was no apology per se. Again, you were reminded by the ICC that listen, you've gone ahead and again twisted the statement that you went ahead and put out as well. And that was the real mirror for Pakistan, the nation, and the cricket board as well. In fact, the cricket board just doing what the nation also does: misconstrue facts all the time. Bring in a Donald Trump where there was nothing that he had to do in the ceasefire. What is it that we saw from Pakistan all over again? Yeah, Andy Pycroft's given an apology. There was no apology at all. The only apology was for the miscommunication, not for the handshake as it was projected by Pakistan cricket. So again, that whole drama that happened over the course of those 48 hours or so, or just about 72 hours, I would say, just beset Pakistan cricket for me. And PCB is not doing its cricket and its fans any favor. It's only taking this cricketing nation that did enjoy some glory in the past. That glory is diminishing rapidly. Other nations are moving forward. You know you're going to have a hard time hosting multilateral events anyway. Look at what happened in the Champions Trophy. Your cricket team is not living up to the expectation that will in fact increase if you're the host. You ended up having more matches in the UAE than in Pakistan, who were out of the tournament and could not progress into the business end of the tournament as far as Champions Trophy is concerned. So that also called for bad publicity and called for bad marketing within your own nation. So there's so many factors affecting Pakistan cricket, and they've got themselves to blame more often than not. And this as well, they chose the drama over the cricket, the players, the antiques, everything. As I said the other day, what Pakistan, everything, if you see from those 6-0 gestures happening in practice to Mohsin Naqvi being there, reportedly also egging his players on to be expressive and not instill the right values or tell them to behave a certain way and come up with the right demeanor on the field, to Haris Rauf doing Haris Rauf things. By the way, he did that in the final as well. The moment he got that catch of Abhishek Sharma, you again saw him do that. It was initially ignored, I think, or skipped, I would say, by the broadcaster, but that video soon surfaced of him trying to do that celebration once again in the final. So you clearly wanted sport to be the means to get to India, to get to the Indian team, to send across a message, but look what happened on 3 successive Sundays. You weren't given that opportunity once, and that's why you didn't need Pakistan to win any of those matches, because once again what they would have gone ahead and done is spread lies.
And see, I think it's interesting you mentioned the Champions Trophy, because it again takes me back to then the same point I made about the Asia Cup. For Asia Cup 2023, the standoff was resolved fairly quickly. But Hazrat, cast your mind back towards the second half of 2024, when you still didn't have a final confirmation of what the ICC Champions Trophy schedule would look like. Why? Because you had no confirmation of where the tournament would be hosted. For how long did that standoff go on? That India was saying, no, it'll have to be done in a hybrid model. Pakistan was saying, no, it'll be played entirely in Pakistan. We will fight for it to take place in Pakistan. You saw all the visuals of the stadiums then not being ready. You saw Naqvi visiting the stadiums. Naqvi was the person in charge.
You saw multiple ICC committee visits as well to the stadium to check on the readiness and the preparedness of the venues, which was, as we know, lack of funds.
Behind time.
There
were so many issues. And so why is it then? It's a common thread, right? 2 tournaments now on the trot. You're seeing India-Pakistan drama. And what's the common denominator? Mr. Mohsin Naqvi. At this point, it's fair to say, if you're these many parts of the problems, or there's these many problems you see, whereby there's just one common denominator, you're starting to see a pattern emerge.
That's the problem. That is the problem then.
That is the problem, and I'm waiting for some sort of acknowledgement, but I don't see it happening. And truth be told, we know how the reality of Pakistan cricket politics works. The only way this man is probably losing this job in the immediate future if there's some sort of a governmental change.
Yeah.
That's how intrinsically linked the Pakistan Cricket Board is to the current dispensation, and it always has been. Whenever there has been a regime change, whether it be through democratic elections, whether it be through yet another coup, we know that there's always been a change in the PCB because they are both intrinsically linked. And the head of this same cricket board is telling me don't mix sports and politics. Are you kidding me? They've always been linked. If sports and politics weren't linked, then you wouldn't be enjoying your nation's success.
It surprises me a little bit as to how the ICC till now has not taken action against PCB. Because as we know in global sport, there cannot be any room for any sort of government intervention. We've seen that happen with the AIFF as well. In India, it's happened on a couple of times. With the Wrestling Association, it happened. I wonder how is it and why the ICC has been quiet till now of such blatant government interference happening in Pakistan Cricket Board.
It's very weird, and it's not as if the ICC doesn't take note. If you remember correctly, I think it was in 2023 or 24, I don't know when it was, but the Sri Lanka Cricket Board were also banned. They were handed a suspension because of consistent political interference, yet the PCB just roams around scot-free. And it's been so intrinsically linked that at this point, literally, guys, go and check out the history of regime changes in Pakistan, whether that be democratic, whether that be through army intervention, and you will see that every single time it coincides with a change in the heading. Yeah, whoever is heading the Pakistan Cricket Board, there's no coincidence there. It always happens. Ramiz Raja was the head because he was close with the ruling party at that point in time. Naqvi came in because he was close to the ruling party, and of course he has such big ties. You know, he's literally the interior minister, so he's definitely someone important. And I mean, look, you can't be telling me to separate sports and politics, and you can't be then telling me the same thing whilst replying to a tweet from PM Modi. How does that work? How does that work? Well, what we can know for sure is that, listen, this drama doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon, which is a pity, because I think this now is going to be, and you can weigh in with your thoughts here, Harshit, the Asia Cup that will forever be remembered for anything but the cricketing action.
True. It's difficult to look past everything that's happened. In fact, over the course of those 2 hours, I think those 2 hours have dominated the Asia Cup, the whole trophy fiasco. In fact, Shivam wants to come in as well.
You talked about Haris Rauf. This guy, before the 2020 World Cup, he talked about Rohit Sharma, his body language. Then Rohit dismissed him brutally.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now he did all these funny things.
Yeah.
Now Abhishek and all
Whacked him.
again.
You know, I like.
Only Jawani chalata hai kya?
Yeah, Shivam says that,
About this.
Shivam wants us to spend some time talking about, Shivam, in fact, to answer that, I'll just tell our family members as well joining us right now, what is it that Shivam said off cam to us. He said that he wants us to talk about the fact that Haris Rauf was so central to all the misdemeanors coming in from Pakistan cricket at the Asia Cup, that he was packed by Rohit Sharma a couple of years back. He was packed by Virat Kohli famously as well. And a match that Pakistan should have won, and then again he goes yapping around in this Asia Cup as well with no performance to back his actions. He was in fact, as Ashwin by the way says, I was listening to Ravi Chandran Ashwin, he says, thanks to Haris Rauf, we actually won this match because of him, because look at the figures that he ended with. So this is to do a lot with how teams are. That's how I look at it. And credit to the Indian team, Gautam Gambhir, the backroom staff, and the captain in Surya Kumar Yadav, in ensuring that the priority lied in cricket and not these antiques, and not planning of how is it that I'm going to celebrate, how is it that I'm going to try and get under the opposition's skin. No, you are there to go ahead and play a good game of cricket, exhibit good skills. That should have been the priority. With India, they were very clear. With Pakistan, the idea was always, how is it that I can antagonize the opposition? How is it that I can get under their skin? How is it that I can go ahead, grab headlines? Which is why Haris Rauf ended up registering the figures that he did.
I mean, see, if you're looking at it, India had 2 half-centurions on the day. You had Tilak Verma and you had Haris Rauf. Let's not look past how important that half-century was. Clinically important. And I'm sorry, and this is a comment that should go down well with some of our well-wishers or whatever you want to call them on the other side of the border of them. But I do think that that 6 from Kohli in 2022 should have basically sent Haris Rauf back to tape ball cricket. We know there's a very popular nickname which is given to him. I don't need to say it. You guys know what it is. In fact, if you guys know what it is, do us a favor and spam our live chat with it. I'll really appreciate it. Please go right ahead. Should have sent him back to tape ball cricket because that seriously is his level. I remember a lot of this thing here. Yeah, and as Shivam rightly points out, he smack talked Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma smacked him. He got smacked during every other subsequent tournament. Let's face facts. His career hasn't recovered since 2022. He remains rubbish. Shaheen Shah Afridi has still shown signs of promise. And in fact, had a very good showing even in the final. Has improved to some extent as a batter. There's been everything. But Haris is at this point in the team and basis what? What reputation? The fact that he can hit 150 clicks on a consistent basis. Pace to pace, boss. Brother, that pace is what ended up getting him smacked.
What? In fact, with Haris, I think it's the wiring has gone so awfully wrong with him. What? Because he could not learn something that his teammate was doing so well, and that's a Fahim Ashram that I'm talking about. He's not even your lead pacer per se. You were trusted with the new ball at times, and if Fahim Ashraf taught you one thing, that was pace off is the way to go. How did Fahim Ashraf get those wickets? Why did Shivam Dube end up giving away his wicket to Fahim? Because that time also he managed to land the ball right and take the pace off. Yes, Dube did well to preempt on one occasion as well, the time that he bowled the ball or was always looking at bowling the ball outside the off stump, but pace up was not the way to go in the final on that deck. That is something you should learn. You came up with no imagination, no creativity, no learning, and you ended up scoring a half century for the Indian team.
Exactly. And see, that's the thing. It reminds me of Shoaib Akhtar in his worst days. Where, on his very bad days, I'm talking about Akhtar in his prime, there were days when he was so focused on pace that he wouldn't focus on anything else. And then what happens then? You're going to get hit. Sometimes that is the big trap you fall into as someone. And bear in mind, I say this, pace bowling at that level or being able to generate that much pace is a gift. Not everyone comes with that sort of a gift. There are few, you can literally count them, off memory, who can consistently hit that sort of pace throughout their careers. But just because you have that doesn't mean you ignore everything else. Other examples, look at Sean Tate. Phenomenally fast, still holds the record for the fastest T20 I delivery, and he was breathing fire that day. But you remember his career only for being inconsistent. He was so badly inconsistent. Same with Haris. He had 1-2 good years maybe, but beyond that I think he's just been in the team on reputation and then doesn't help himself by doing stupid stuff off the field. Why these antics? They're not needed. Back your antics. No one will care about your antics if you have good performances. But you don't have good performances. It's why the PCB are getting so much this thing. Their team is performed like rubbish. You made it to the final crawling. You lost 3 matches to India. Yet you are the ones chirping the most. How does that work? How does that
just
work?
Doesn't add up. Yes, Shivam?
We have our own examples, Mayank Yadav, Umran Malik,
Yeah.
Arun.
Yeah, he's right actually. If you look at even India, the ones who could come express pace at one point, I think the only one from that early crop, I remember Umesh when he started, or Umesh Yadav was someone who would consistently clock 150 clicks, had a few injuries, then at least you can say he had a decent red ball career. He had a more than decent red ball career whereby, you knew that at home tests he would at least get a chance. But he also had to drop his pace down a click at times because he realized that wasn't everything. Just pure pace is not the only way to go. Never has been.
More recently, you've had the case of
Umran
Malik.
Umran
Tapered to the extent that, again, you wish him well for his IPL career. I don't see it heading anywhere.
He got injured just before the last IPL.
Yeah.
And lest we forget, I'm talking about this, I remember it very clearly. KKR picked him up on the base price. And they picked him up on base price in the quick auction.
Yeah.
It was I'm forgetting what the term is, but it was basically the second round where they brought back some players who they might want to bid on quickly. The accelerated auction, yes, that's what it was. They picked him up at base price in the accelerated auction. The same Umran Malik who 3 years prior was,
breathing fire.
Breathing fire and
you ended up, you elevated him to India.
Yeah, he got an India call-up basis that one IPL in 2022. After that, he's just not been the same. You really want, for his sake and for India's sake, really, because you want players who bowl with that kind of pace, that you rediscover that rhythm. But he's not been able to do it. Injuries haven't helped, sure. But that's the thing. Pace isn't everything. It's not. And if you're Pakistan Cricket Board, then bluster isn't everything. Please back it up. Nagarkoti and Mavi were the other 2 examples, yeah. Although I think those were also down to some dodgy speed guns. Some very dodgy speed guns. I remember those, yeah.
Tournament.
Under 19 World Cup, yes. even Mavi for that matter could bat a bit.
Nagarkoti was picked up by KKR.
So was Mavi. When after that World Cup, I remember there were 3 players KKR went hard for: Nagarkoti, Mavi, and Shubman Gill. These were 3 players that they picked up because they wanted to kind of have like a more youthful this thing. They wanted to bring in some younger players. These were the players that picked up. It's like that 2018 World Cup. I know we're digressing a bit off topic, but it had a lot of players that are now doing well for India, because of course you're talking about these 3. There's Gill, Arshdeep Singh,
also.
Abhishek Sharma was part of that batch as well.
Let's not forget there was Prithvi Shaw part of this batch.
Yeah, Prithvi was there. He was, of course, his career also hasn't quite gone to plan.
Quickest to taper off.
Yeah, but he was another one. That under 19 batch was very, very good. Riyan Parag is another one who's been playing for India recently, but unfortunate to not be there. But yeah, he's played.
Yeah,
the Bihu.
Yeah.
Yes, but anyway, I mean, see, the sad reality is, and me and Harsha were discussing this as well. I don't think we were expecting any resolution. But what I really hate about all of this is that you've basically now elongated this drama for no good reason. It's just a useless, unnecessary escalation, elongation. Give the trophy in behind closed doors, or send it to them, fax it to them, email it to them, courier it to them, do whatever. Just give them the trophy and be over with. It can't be that tough. I don't think it's that tough. They've won the trophy. Send them the trophy. Be done with this all. Then hopefully we don't have to hear about India, Pakistan for a while. Because I'm not tired of the action. I'm tired of the drama. The drama's really gotten me to me.
Yeah, because at best what it makes you is this looks like a bit of a robbery and a theft, and makes you a hoarder. You have done nothing to keep that trophy.
Yeah, I mean, it was trending, and again, I'm not that person. I'll stoop a little low, but CHOR PCB and CHOR Naqvi were trending on X the day of the final. So once you got this news, CHOR Naqvi is trending. I mean, is that the reputation you want? Is that the publicity you so crave? CHOR Naqvi? I don't think so, man. But
you have one story now that bounced.
Yeah, Shivam reminds me that we've done a story for you guys today, since we're talking about how Pakistan cricket has hurt itself on so many occasions without there being any exterior involvement. There's a story that we've done for you about a time where Pakistan cricket had done something good for itself, but their own Prime Minister ended up causing embarrassment to the nation. Why? You got to see that story to know further details.
yeah, basically, I'll not tell you too many of the details of why it is, but I will involve, because what Shivam was mentioning, this is important. There was a check worth rupees 25 lakhs that bounced. That in itself is everything.
Multiple checks.
Multiple checks. Well, that you'll get to know when you see the story. But imagine 25 lakh ka check someone handing you and it just bounces. Heartbreak. Our producer Shivam is saying that bounce checks, they don't give trophies. What even is going on? I know what, on that note, I agree, and I think it's time we can take a look at what it is our family members have to say, because I'm expecting, let's say, Ashish Dhar says, Portuguese footballer to PCB chief in Portuguese.
Okay, meaning?
You'll have to do this
We
thing.
got the trans as well for it.
Yeah, just...
Yeah.
I think तुमने मुझे क्यों तोड़ा? Yeah, of course. He's of course, referring to the whole Ronaldo thing.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
valid point. And basically, what he's saying is, "Porque eke me debru," meaning तुमने मुझे क्यों तोड़ा?
Yeah.
Poor Ronaldo. I doubt he knows this is even happening. That his likeness is being used for this.
He won't. He won't.
No, but that man is shockingly tuned in online. Huh?
Yeah,
He's
he
shockingly tuned in online. Perhaps though, more for football matters. At this point, I don't think he knows what cricket is.
Knowing Ronaldo, he'd still be interested in knowing what Messi is doing across the Atlantic.
Yeah, but he won't be interested to know that the PCB chief is using him for memes.
Yeah.
Ashish Dhar again says, Haris Rauf now Haras Rauf still has VK cough.
Is Harris Rauf?
VK cough. Indeed, I'm telling you, he was not the same man after that. Not at all. That broke his confidence to such a degree that at this point, I don't think he's the same bowler anymore. That's what triggered him, no? That's what triggered him, lest we forget. Aditya Kavlekar, after the status of the trophy, now I came to know why Hardik didn't play final.
Aditya, you being cheeky.
Then you've got Orko Kobiraj say that Naqvi can be easily removed. He's the interior minister and PCB chairman. It's a direct conflict of interest, but don't know why BCCI doesn't raise this. Sri Lanka was suspended for government interference. That's correct.
Exactly something we pointed out as well.
Let's see. Sachin Kashyap says, I don't think we got our answers to the T20 World Cup squad completely. Sanju and Gill haven't fired completely in the Asia Cup. That means open gate for Jaiswal, Pant, Jitesh, KL. I doubt Sachin. You know why? Because if you really decide to not, go with Gill, then you have a ready-made answer in the person who he replaced, which is Sanju. One of the reasons that Samson didn't fire much in this tournament, I feel, is because quite frankly, he was shunted from the position which he had done so well in.
But even then, as Shane and I were talking about earlier in the day, if you look at numbers, again, the numbers
this is interesting. Please.
Don't cover either of the players in glory. But interestingly, Sanju Samson just pips Shubman Gill in terms of the overall runs tally. It's 132 for Sanju, which is 5 more than what Shubman had managed, which was 127.
And lest we add, there was one match where Sanju Samson didn't even get batting.
Get to bat, yeah.
So that in itself tells you just how poor an Asia Cup Gill has had. And look, there are extenuating circumstances. It wasn't ideal batting conditions for the most part. But he did get more opportunities in the middle and quite frankly didn't make the most of those opportunities. Yeah. That's definitely,
Sanju again, that's so often the thing with Sanju. Yes, I know he scored 3 centuries, but again, got his eye in, spent enough time on the wicket, but that miscue, in fact, he could have been out on 12 also. He got a reprieve, let's not forget. But again, got miscued. He was outdone by the bowler, but again, big final, this is what people remember you for. And look what Tilak Verma has done. Tilak Verma has given Indian fans a reason to remember his knock. Yes, with Sanju, we know he scored those 300s, but those weren't in big finals. Those were in bilateral series. And people will remember you for what you do in big matches.
Right. Can we scroll down? There's more comments. I'm sure I see a fair amount of them. This one I really need to take. This is from DP, who says that Pakistan is the Karen of Asia. If you understand that reference, well done.
Sorry, I missed that. DP is the Karen of Asia.
So Karen is basically an online term used for people who complain a lot. The take me to your manager types people in restaurants. So they're saying that Pakistan is basically like a Karen at this point. I actually wholeheartedly agree with that. Let's say
basically they're the ones whining.
Yes. Doing a lot of whining. JM says poor Sanju. What more he needs to prove? Every series is a pressure series only for this guy. Pant stats in T20I, he then accompanies with the laughing emojis. Still we give him a chance. KL is not suited. He passed his prime. Jitesh is far behind. Jitesh is not that far behind. He's in the squad. But I do agree with you saying that KL is probably, I think, T20s, you're not really looking at him at this point in time any longer. Scroll down a little more. There's more comments that we can take. Let's see. No. Go down. Can't take that one. Down. Further. Yeah. Aris says, I think now is the time that India should put itself in a separate group from Pakistan's in upcoming World Cup. I mean, come on. This one will go on from their side. They just want to create chaos.
But I doubt if you're still willing to move in that direction.
Not a chance.
There's just too much money riding.
All that money. And by the way, some people did take my advice to heart and have spammed the chat with that. So appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. In fact, Syed Nizamuddin also points out that, PCB chairman is next to the PM. That is right. Maybe he's got further political ambitions. You don't really know. You really don't know. Let's see. No, I think these are repeat comments. Stop. Let's see. No, that's there. We've taken that.
We've taken both those.
Go down. No, I think these ones we've taken. Wait, stop there.
Somebody say chor machaye shor.
Yeah, that is also very true. In fact, Ramachandran also says, Sachi, the BCCI, if I was the BCCI head, I'll say resigning from the ACC membership if you don't give me the trophy right now and do a press conference. Yeah. See, that I think would be definitely, an extreme step. By the way, comment of the day comes from Priyanshu because he's saying, what are you going to call it? Jam Asia Cup? Or Pak occupied trophy. Oh dear Lord. Oh dear God. That is it. That's I think that's that. Yeah, absolutely.
Sai is asking what kind of action could now be taken against Naqvi or the PCB for that matter.
See, what India is saying is that they'll lodge an ICC complaint at this point in time. That is the escalation.
Yeah.
That is the escalation. Yeah,
I
I
doubt
think
if the ICC can just disbar him from his position. I don't think it can be done.
yeah, I don't think that is a possibility. But I mean, I do. It's still a very weird situation, really.
Yeah.
Hmm. Karthik K says that Tilak keeping his blood flowing by running up and down the wickets during the 19th over fake cramp fiasco says something about his power. That's true, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very clever because it's so easy to, at that point just cool down because you're in the thick of the action, and then when the action stops. Yes, very easy. And other thing, stealing the cup from a packed stadium is probably the greatest size. Oceans 11 and Oceans 12, take note.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I think we can call it a evening. I think there's been a lot of discussion, and let's see how this goes. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We do. Oh wait, there's one more. Actually, this is probably
Ashish
comment
Dhar.
of the day from Ashish Dhar saying PCB chief will be delivered COD. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, thank you guys so much for joining us on this edition of the Live Dugout. It's always great to be joined by you guys. It's always fun talking cricket and talking sport with you guys. And if you enjoyed this edition, well, go ahead, like, share, subscribe, tap the bell, share it with your friends. Stay tuned to the channel. We've got plenty more videos coming your way, including some very interesting stories from the world of cricket, from the world of sport. For now, though, from Harshit, me, and our producer off screen Shivam, it is good evening, good night. You can do the rest of the.
Yeah. It's done dry. It's Dundri. Good evening. We go with good night. It's
Good night.
Nandri. Shubh Ratri. Shabba Khair. Eat your vegetables.
Don't trouble your mother.
Yeah. Bye bye.